This is how I get Ed to get out of here at the end of the day. He just wants to always work.
Yes.
That means this is the last rock, right?
Last rock, absolutely.
So end of day one.
End of day one. Cheers.
Hey, you happy, Blake?
Oh, I'm happy.
So we made great progress out here yesterday. We have our intake bay is installed. Matt's working on finishing up this back edge. We just dropped in one of these really cool logs that Blake had found. We want to try to use a variety of different materials in the project just to break up the monotony of all the stone. We're also trying to replicate a natural kind of river marsh type of a habitat, and this is what you're normally going to find in those habitats. Here we have our aqua blocks are installed. Pump vault, I think we may need to do another extension on that to allow access for all of our pumps. Down here on the bottom, you can see we have multiple layers. We have the very, very bottom, we have our excavation, then we have our heavy duty fabric. Top of that, we have our rubber membrane. It's gonna hold all the water in place. Then we have layers of protection on top. Another layer of heavy duty fabric to protect against the sharp, jagged rocks that are found here locally. And then on top of that, in some of these big, wide open areas, we have what we call concrete cloth. That concrete cloth is gonna provide a rock hard barrier from all the animals that could be digging through the bottom. So again, I was talking about otters, we're talking about caimans, we're talking about snapping turtles, all types of things that are going to want to escape and burrow into the bottom of the pond. So we want to have a protective layer that will safeguard against that. Our next steps, finish working our stonework around this back edge, drop in a few more big rocks. We're going to put in another log or two right over, we have a log right over here. We're going to drop that in, kind of coming across this way. I want to create some pockets for some aquatic plantings. Down in the bottom, you can see some of these pipes sticking out. We created a really cool habitat down there, a little habitat enrichment for whatever he's going to be putting inside of here. If it's going to be turtles, otters, unique types of fish. We have a big tunnel system going behind all of those stones. We also have like a little exit over here out of that one pipe that will have to get cut off and then disguised. You can see we have that little cave entry is hidden. So once we get our big stones in here, our log in place, we're going to have Nick shift gears. I want to get that wetland excavated so we can keep kind of working in tandem together. So we have a lot of handwork right now, but we want to make sure that we're utilizing our equipment as efficiently as possible. Loving these little details. We got these logs that Blake found, and kind of creating this little cantilevered pocket effect over here, get some soil behind it. All these little details make all the difference in the world. We have our liner coming up behind this. We pack it with soil. We will be adding more soil to here. This is going to get planted with vegetation just to kind of create a little bit of a backdrop for this enclosure. So we're going to create several little pockets like this. He's going to have like an actual pen type of a setup somewhere over in here. This is going to be our pump area. This is our intake bay, so all debris gets sucked into here. You can see we have our pumps installed, plumbing coming out. These are all the little things that we're dealing with here for this unique situation. Again, because of the location what we're working at, exotic animal ranch, we want to make sure that we have everything covered. So we have our pipes, we have our concrete cloth. We're coming in with a series of jets. You can see right here, we have a 2-inch pipe going around this perimeter. That 2-inch pipe is connected to an adjustable 4,000 to 8,000 pump. So we're gonna have a really good fast velocity of water. What we did was we came down and we put a reducer in here. So we went from 2-inch down to 1.25 inches. What that's gonna do is gonna increase the water velocity coming out of this little opening. So that's really gonna create a nice push of water along the bottom. We have 2 of these. So we have another one located on that side to push all this water here. Our final pump's gonna go on the top for our wetland filter. A little bit. Right into there. So what I'm doing is we have additional liner, which we designed into this for part of the stream. There are 2 different types of streams that can come into a pond. You actually have a waterfall that drops in. When a waterfall drops directly into a pond, it just kind of creates a little bit of turbulence right at the base where the water goes into deep water. What we want to do here is we want to have a good push. So in order to do that, we're going to have the waterfall fall into a shallow pocket that's right just below water level. And then what happens is you get this big push of water going out. So that's going to ensure that we get really good circulation throughout the entire time. We are filling the pond with water. We're working on edges. We're trying to take some of this excess soil that we're digging out of the wetland, kind of blending everything down. You can see this mark right here. This is going to be the outside edge of the wetland filter. The filter is going to be 32 of these aqua blocks are going to go in the bottom. That's going to be a sedimentation chamber. Then we're going to have all of this river rock going on top of the aqua blocks. So what we're trying to do here is create a oversized wetland filtration system. The reason we're doing an oversized filter is because of all the unique animals that Blake has here on the property. So we have to think a little bit differently. Typically on a pond of this scale, I'm going to be about 25 to 30% of the surface area of the pond is my wetland filter. For this particular one, we're close to almost 50%. So 50% of the pond is going to be the size of our wetland filter over here. So the pond's about 300 square feet. This filter is about 150 square feet. Again, the whole reason we're doing that is we need to have the extra filtration necessary for whatever he happens to throw in this pond. We're trying to cover all of our bases because if I know Blake, his mind is turning already. All the different animals that he's talking about putting in here have a lot of different water quality needs, and we want to make sure that his animals are well taken care of. Our goal here for Blake's pond is to have something low maintenance. So we are coming out with everything that he needs. We want to make sure that all the water quality is perfect. So we have the oversized wetland. We're also ensuring that we have the proper addition of bacterias and microorganisms that are going to populate the entire filter system, which is why we have the automatic dosing system. So that's going to constantly be dripping in minute amounts of those compounds. That's going to ensure the filter is going to work properly. We also have the ionization system, which is a copper-based system. Copper is very, very effective at controlling algae. So what we're doing is we're sending a low voltage electrical current between these two electrodes, and what happens is the copper actually dissolves in the water. So it releases these copper ions into the water, and that will float throughout the entire system and help control some of the algae. The key to this though is we don't want to have too much of the copper where it causes any problem or it damages the biological filter. So we actually worked for many years with our suppliers to create the right system that works with our ecosystem ponds. All right, our excavation is complete. We have a nice, relatively flat level bottom. Now what we're doing is we're marking out the area where the centipedes are gonna go. So this is a water distribution system. So that has to get recessed down into the bottom. So our next step is we're gonna have to dig it down. That's gonna go down 12 inches. So the top of this pipe is gonna be level with the current excavation here. So it'll be nice and smooth going across. Over the top of all that, we'll get our small aqua blocks. That is our clean out over on that side. That's called our snorkel. That's gonna allow Blake opportunity for yearly maintenance to remove sediments, organic compounds, etc. Once a year. So what he'll do is he'll put a pump in there, pump the dirty water out. The water is nutrient rich. He could use that water for watering any of the plant material around here because it's actually a great form of fertilizer. So you can see one of the things I want to point out, this has a very specific flow rate going through it. It is designed with 231 square inches of open space, which allows for a flow rate of 1 foot per second of water coming out of those slots. We have a 93% reduction in water velocity as water comes in the one end. The water then gets sedimentation process occurs on the bottom, then it will flow out across all the aqua blocks. Juan! All right, so excavation obviously complete. We're putting in our heavy duty fabric. We brought in a little bit of this sand layer just to level everything out. The key to all of this, we're putting those centipedes in. We want to make sure that it sits flush going all the way across because we're gonna have a layer of those aqua blocks going in. So guys, right now we're bringing in another layer of that heavy fabric just to barricade and soften up that back edge. And then we're gonna be ready for our liner, and then another layer of the fabric, then aqua blocks, gravel. All right, so here is what we've been working on, chipping away at all this stone. So here's what we're trying to do. Spent a lot of time chipping this out, getting the right elevation, so you can see how those aqua blocks are kind of bridging across everything. So we're gonna have a layer of the aqua blocks, and then we come in with all the river rock on top of that. All right, aqua blocks are in. We have our pipe connected. What we're doing is we're just filling around the extra excavation. So we over excavated everything, obviously, for our snorkel. We're just filling this in because we have some additional cobblestones and smaller chunks of that stuff available. So we're just filling in that void space. Then on top of this, we're gonna come in with the rest of this river rock material. So we have a mixture of sizes in here. This is a 1 to 3 inch stone. The key to it is you wanna have a river rock big enough that doesn't go through the aqua block openings. Normally I would come in with several different lifts of different grades. We were not able to get it down here in Florida, at least cost effectively. So we decided just to do all the 1 to 3. So we're gonna come in here with a layer 18 inches deep. Then what we'll do is we'll come in with a lot more of those bigger stones around the outside perimeter to make kind of a unique shape. Maybe we could find another log or two, and then this will kind of be like an upper pool. The water's gonna overflow back over that way into the main pond. That will return the cycle. These aqua blocks, each one of these blocks, we have 32 of them. Each one of those has a storage capacity of 17 gallons. So it has a volume of 17 gallons. It's gonna be a large sedimentation chamber. The other important thing about this is you see these webbings and everything. If you saw us building those, there's a series of internal plates inside of those aqua blocks. What that does is it constantly stirs and it mixes the water. So we have high velocity water coming in right down the middle through our centipedes, and it's gonna spread out evenly, but as it's spreading out, it's gonna constantly be mixed. So this will actually become part of the filtration as well, but the main purpose is really that sedimentation process. So as all the water's passing through these little baffles, it slows the water down just slightly. And then what that does, that slight pressure drop will allow the sedimentation process to occur. It's always good to have gravel going in the wetland. So we got a pretty good mound over here. Thankfully we got our cat excavator going. We also put a layer of that fabric down on the bottom to protect all the gravel from getting just lost in the turf. Now we're just gonna keep loading it up on top of the aqua blocks. The main filtrations actually happen from the river rock. So the whole thing with this is water distribution and management. So we're spreading this stuff out. We're gonna rinse this down as well, and we'll be set. Check it out, it is running. The intake bay is working great. You could actually see some of the floating debris just kind of building up in this corner. So it's pulling all that stuff across. You could actually see the turbulence on the surface of the water where our jets are discharging water. One's a little bit shallower over in that section, which you could see a lot of that turbulence. The other one's all the way in the bottom. I could see little upwelling areas. The key to this stuff, this entire project, the challenge behind it was we don't know what Blake is gonna throw at it. So there's been all different types of discussions, from caimans, there's turtles, there's otters. So he's playing around with all different ideas. So we had to cover ourselves for any and all circumstances. We came in heavy duty fabric above and below the liner, concrete cloth to create an impermeable barrier for anything that's going to dig through the liner. On top of that, we came in with jets, the oversized wetland filter. We have this little tunnel system. He can put catfish inside of this thing. It's literally limitless possibilities. So there's all types of stuff that he can do here. I love the way it kind of twists and turns its way around. We created this different mounding effect over here. Nothing too high because we are located down here in Florida. Very flat area. We didn't want a lot of huge waterfalls. Over on this side, there's going to be a bridge going across. You can see there's still some liner and stuff exposed. We didn't want to cover that up because eventually there's going to be a bridge going across, and that's going to go over to that little enclosure. Let's come over here and check out right over here where this, you can see where these jets are actually bubbling up that water. So we have all types of turbulence coming through here, and you can see the velocity of the water blasting through this little opening, and then we have that waterfall. That is critical for the overall function of this ecosystem. ecosystem because that wetland filtration system that detoxifies the water is home to all different types of microorganisms. All those little microorganisms are feeding on organic compounds. The more they feed, the more they need to breathe. They are breathing from dissolved oxygen in the water. Dissolved oxygen is coming from the waterfalls. So this ecosystem concept is we're trying to create all the different components necessary for a healthy aquatic ecosystem. And we nailed it. I mean, I just love this stuff. Look at this. We got little trickling waterfalls coming in from different areas. Whatever he puts in here is going to have a blast. I sure hope he goes with the otters, because I could literally, envision them climbing through all this stuff, playing on top of these waterfalls. It would be awesome. And we have the main filter itself. Remember when we dug this was just a huge square, 10 foot by 15 foot. The bottom depth, we were over 4 feet deep. We had to cut through some of that cap rock. This was a big square, or rectangle. We came in with our stonework and we created more free-flowing edges, so more of an organic form. We dropped in a couple more of these logs, and then we got some little planting pockets. So this will get planted up at some point. So actually Blake and I were just discussing some of the different options for plantings, and man, I can't wait to see this thing finished up. Well, if I know Blake, he's gonna trick this place out, and it is gonna be unreal. All right, Blake.
Appreciate it, Ed.
My pleasure, man. It's been a lot of fun, right?
Definitely a lot of fun. Without you and the whole team, couldn't get it done.
It's cool, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity. Looking forward to seeing what you put in this thing.
Me too.
And how it evolves over time.
Exactly.
All right, till the next project.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you soon.